Happy Monday, everybody. Andy from WagerTalk.com. Welcome to Prop It Up, being joined as always by my fellow prop master, Andrew McGinnis from WagerTalk.com. We are going to be breaking down Monday Night Football, the Chargers at the Jets. We're going to go over passing, rushing, and receiving props. And then we're also going to take a quick look ahead and give out props we want to see. And Andrew, there's no time to waste. We might as well get right into it. I will drown my sorrows a bit later about losing my epic Joe Burrow and Josh Allen play that I talked about on Friday. But instead of talking about losing bets because Josh Allen runs a touchdown in instead of passing it, let's talk about passing props in this one. First off, congratulations on the BC Lions. I know that was an awesome cash for you. Let's talk passing props. We got Justin Herbert. We got Zach Wilson. What do we like, overs or unders on any of these props?
You know, Andy, I think this is a real interesting game prop-wise. I'll start things off with a prop that I like to try and pick my spots with last year. Haven't really bet it too much this year. I always tell you that I'm nervous to bet a player to actually throw an interception. I think I might have actually bet more not to throw an interception in my life than throw an interception. We're going to keep that going here with Zach Wilson to not throw an interception. In his last 5 games, he's only thrown 1 pick. And, you know, obviously look at this defense, has a pretty bad reputation here with the Chargers, not really getting that many interceptions per game. But the thing is, you know, he's taking a very, very cautious approach, right? The passing offense with the Jets over the last few weeks, compared to even the start of the season, has been check down after check down, passing to running back, short 10-yard plays. They're not really going deep downfield. I think it honestly that kind of correlates with his longest completion under, because I feel like if that hits, the no interception will hit, because I don't think he's going to throw an interception if he's only throwing the ball 5 or 10 yards. You're getting that at plus 125. And I think in the prop betting world, it's just great when you have a player that everyone loves to talk smack about. People say that he can't throw the ball, he doesn't have good targets. I think he actually is a pretty accurate quarterback within 15 yards. So just don't let him throw that far, and he'll have success for you. And, you know, on the topic of Zach Wilson, I actually do like him over 213.5 passing yards here. Look, based on how their season started, the game script, I think, you know, they were almost trying to treat it like it was Aaron Rodgers out there. I don't know if anybody else noticed that. Like, it seemed to me like the first few weeks was like, okay, Zach, you have to try and do all these plays that we had designed for Aaron Rodgers. That didn't go very well. Since they've let him just get back to being himself and kind of just having a few passes here and there, mixing in the run game, they've been maintaining possession. They're up there in the league as far as possession past few weeks. The Los Angeles Chargers are they're 5th last in the league as far as yards given up per catch. So the second that he makes a short dump off, his receivers are going to make moves and get on the run. And, you know, I think that I'll probably be looking at Herbert unders, Andy, because I do think the Jets are going to hold on to the ball. They're going to utilize the clock very well. His number is around 40 or 50 yards higher than Zach Wilson's is. And obviously the Jets are getting healthier in their secondary defensive positions. So a few props I'm looking at there. And if I was to get a little bit carried away with another INT prop, I actually probably would throw in Herbert to get one. So I think it's kind of a mixed bag for me as far as, you know, guys you'd think would versus would not. I think Zach Wilson holds onto the ball, and I love when you can get plus 125 on a guy to not throw one.
I'm with you. This Chargers pass defense has been terrible all year, and I'm with you on Zach Wilson. I think he has success. I have noted down here the 213.5, I believe it is now. They're the worst. He had, 240 last week. And, Tyson Bagent had 232 against this Chargers team. A lot of it was in garbage time. But you saw, like, when the Chargers weren't pressuring, that Bagent had all the time in the world to throw, and he was hitting Cole Kmet and, all those guys against the Chargers. So I like the 213.5. I also think you could look at over 18.5 completions. He's dancing around this number. And it's okay. So he had 17 against the Giants, 19 against Philly, 19 against Denver, 28 against Kansas City. So you're kind of seeing that, he's kind of all around this number. But the Chargers give up 26 completions a game. That is way more than those opponents that I just listed. So it's just a great matchup. And I think these numbers are coming out kind of like this is Zach Wilson's averages. And I think they're a little bit soft. I don't think they're taking into account how much better or how much better this matchup is for Zach Wilson than some of these other ones. Um, I find the Chargers incredibly difficult to try and handicap. Like Andrew, this is a team that goes for it on their own 19-yard line in the second quarter. I mean, this is a team whose coach constantly gets bashed. This is a team that has Austin Eckler, yet they can't run the ball. So when I'm looking at Justin Herbert, I have no idea what he's going to do tonight. Like all the talent in the world, but is he going to have 0 touchdown passes? Is he going to have 4? I have no idea. So Justin Herbert is a complete stay away for me. But Zach Wilson, I'm in on some of these overs tonight. I think he has a pretty decent game. Let's talk about some rushing props, and then we're going to give out a promo code here, guys, for a couple of discounts on some passes for Andrew and myself. Rushing wise, what are we looking at here from the running backs and these rushing props, Andrew?
Yeah, Andy. So looking at this Jets team, as far as their opponent passing yards per game ranking, they are listed at number 6. As far as opponent rushing yards per game, they rank 31st in the league. That's below Carolina. That's below Pittsburgh. That's below the Raiders, right next to the Denver Broncos. And a lot of those numbers from the Broncos are from earlier in the season. They've actually kind of gotten things together a little bit over the past little weeks here. But, to me, that is a big discrepancy. I would almost rather, if I was the head coach, be like split in the middle for both those statistics instead of being lopsided, because then you pretty much know how to plan your attack. And, you look at rushing yards versus attempts and kind of what's your approach for it. And for me, I want to look at Austin Eckler just on his attempts today, Andy, because this is one of those opportunities and situations where I know he's going to get his touches. I feel like it's really important for the Chargers to mix in the run game here in this game, but I don't really want to worry about what he does with it, and this is coming from a guy that, unfortunately, everybody else in the world was with me on my 5% NFL prop play with Jonathan Taylor over on his rushing yards. He had a ton of attempts, right? And so it's one of those ones where you're seeing the guy run into his offensive line in the third quarter. He had, I think, 3 or 4 carries for 1 yard. So in this particular situation with Austin Eckler, I don't want to worry about the yardage. I want to worry just about his attempts. So I'll be looking at his attempts there. And that's about it, really. I have for the Jets players, I mostly have like receiving props for the running back. So I'll throw it back to you. But I think the attempt props for Eckler is really good. And do you have any thoughts on that? Like, I mean, the Jets so good against the pass, but then just like second worst in the entire league against the run. I feel like you'd almost rather be like middle of the pack in both versus what that situation is.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's an interesting look on Eckler because I have Austin Eckler under 47.5 rushing yards because I don't trust him. I mean, outside of week 1 against Miami, he's averaging 2.5 yards a carry. They don't seem to commit to it at all. That's the other thing about the running game. There's no setup to it. It's just like, well, let's randomly hand it off to Eckler and see what happens. And this is a Chargers team and coaching staff that I like. It wouldn't surprise me at all if they were like, "Oh yeah, Jets, you're a great secondary. Well, we're going to show how awesome we are. We're going to throw it 45 times." Like they're so goofy in that way. So I would take the under on that. Josh Kelly is at 21.5. I might take the under on that as well. Just I don't think this is a Chargers team that can completely commit to it. When I watch their games, it just doesn't have any rhyme or reason. What the only pause I would have now on these is that Josh Palmer is out, and I think that's a huge loss. I think that's a huge loss for the Chargers. Like that guy these days was good for six catches, 75, 80 yards, and now that's not there, and there's a big drop off to Quentin Johnson and some of these other guys. But I have no faith in the rushing game. I do like your call on the rush attempts because I think they will try and run it. It's just the last time I watched like a full Chargers game, every time they would hand the ball to Eckler, he's getting hit behind the line. He just doesn't seem as shifty in the running game as he is in the passing game. So I'm totally with you on that one. Zach Wilson over 12.5. maybe just because I don't think they're going to be running the ball through their running backs as much as they normally do. He's going to be dropping back to pass, and I would expect him to at least run a couple of times. We've seen him do it, and he's kind of fast. He's shockingly fast when he gets outside the pocket. 4 for 25 against the Giants, 4 for 15 against Philly, 3 for 26 against Denver, 2 for 14 against Kansas City. So wouldn't surprise me at all if Zach Wilson rips off a couple of runs. If because we know he's not good at finding his like third read. It's like first read and then that's it. Bail. So yeah, I'm looking at Eckler under his yards. I like your take on the attempts, and then I would look at Zach Wilson over his rushing as well. So let's talk receiving, because I'm with you that the receiving props are where, to me, it gets pretty interesting in tonight's game. So let's start going through these guys. What do we expect in receiving props?
Yeah, I mean, I talked about thinking that Zach Wilson's going to have a good game, but not exactly, filled with highlight passes. And I think a lot of that goes to Breece Hall. His number's at 19 and a half here receiving yards. The Chargers give up the 5th most receiving yards to running backs here. And the thing is, when you're betting with Breece Hall right now, if you've been betting his running yards every single week, you've probably been very frustrated how often he's been catching the ball. There's nothing worse than having a rushing prop on a guy and you just see him catch the ball for 3 yards and then go for 15, right? And that's kind of what Breece Hall's role has been with this Jets team, a couple yards catch. And then, like I mentioned, this Chargers team, yards per catch, once they allow a catch, their defense is not good. Guys are slipping off their defenders and turning small plays into nothing. And this is 19 and a half. I mean, you give me, I think we get to three targets he could have this, Andy. This 19 and a half. He's very explosive, athletic enough to get there. And, all we need is one slip up from this Chargers defense to allow him to get on a decent run here. And we have a pretty good chance. And I think he'll get a decent amount of targets. Another one that I liked was Keenan Allen over 23 and a half, longest reception. I've kind of fallen in love with those ones. 5 of his last 7 games, he has hit this. And I think there's definitely going to be some opportunities where Justin Herbert will have to go long. Sorry, my dog is barking right now, and it's really distracting me.
The dog's barking tonight. You heard it. You heard it here from Andrew. Andrew likes the dog in this one.
Yeah, I have a golden retriever, and he thinks he's a guard dog for some reason. But yeah, Keenan Allen over 23 and a half. I don't know if I like it. The funny thing is, I don't know if I like his yards on the full game, but I do like his longest reception because it seems like when he does get the ball from Herbert lately, he is catching a big one there. And Quentin Johnson, I think that his number 32 and a half, that kind of stands out to me because, you've got a lot of guys for this game that don't have massive like numbers, but he's someone that's getting the targets. And the targets have been a big thing for me. I mean, I look at yards per game for everybody, but if you're getting the opportunities, then sometimes you're going to end up getting those big plays that will get you over the numbers. So Quentin Johnson for me over 32 and a half, but the best bet for me would be in the receiving yards, Breece Hall over 19 and a half. And of course, he stopped when I stopped talking. My dog. I know you can't hear him, but he literally stops right away.
Hey, we love our good boys and girls here at WagerTalk for sure. So, yeah, receiving. I tend to agree with you. I'm kind of confused by some of these numbers because if you look at Justin Herbert's passing number, it's 253 and a half. Like, okay, 250 yards. But if you add up, you have Eckler, the books have it, 32 and a half, Donald Parham, 16 and a half, Gerald Everett, 26 and a half, Keenan Allen, 74 and a half, and Quentin Johnston at 32 and a half. It only comes out to like 170 or 180. So I'm wondering why those, like, because there's not nobody else catching the ball really from this one. So it feels like either a lot of these guys are going to go over or Justin Herbert's going to, go under quite a bit. As much as I don't like Austin Eckler in the rushing, I like him in the receiving. Over 32 and a half. He's the number 1 or number 2 target on this team. He's gone over in every game except the Kansas City game, who's got a great defense. The Jets allow over 46 yards receiving to running backs, and this is a top, 3 receiving running back in the league right now. So I like that one. I like where you're going with Keenan Allen. And Quentin Johnston, at this 32 and a half, it kind of feels like he gets there just by pure volume. But what I worry about is looking at some of his highlights in film, he's not polished. And this is a tough matchup. And I wonder if this is an easy coverage for the Jets. Like Keenan Allen's going to have his his cagey veteran moves and ways to get open. But I wonder if Quentin Johnson is a little bit overwhelmed on this one. And I wonder if it opens up Donald Parham or Gerald Everett. I actually kind of like Gerald Everett, 26.5. Numbers are pretty low. Could be that sneaky third option because outside of, those top cornerbacks for the Jets can shut down just about anybody. So if you're looking for guys to get open, Gerald Everett might be able to get there. And then, Garrett Wilson, if I like Zach Wilson to do well, you have to look at Garrett Wilson. Over 5.5 receptions is plus 124. I love that. His receiving yards is 65.5. So if I like Zach Wilson to get to 212 yards, surely Garrett Wilson's going to have 65 of those. I mean, there really just isn't that. I mean, it's basically been him and Breece Hall the last couple weeks. So you look at Garrett Wilson the last couple weeks, and I mean, he's just getting a lion's share. 15 catches the last 25 targets the last 2 weeks for 190 yards. So pretty amazing on that one. I guess the other weird thing, I don't think there's really a way to bet on it, but Garrett Wilson's gone 5 games in a row with no touchdowns. He has all these catches and all these yards, and yet just not getting in the end zone at all. Wow. So, yeah. So you're getting plus 124 on that over 5.5 catches. This is a guy caught 8 and 7 the last couple weeks. I mean, he's the number one target. And then I don't even know. I get what Tyler Conklin outside of him and Breece Hall. So it's just it's a rough one for them. So that's what we like for the receiving yards prop. So Andrew, we've got a promo code to go over. Why don't you tell everyone what you have up, where we can find you, and about this promo code that you have?
Yeah, Andy, and I just want to mention, because I think transparency is very important to all of us. It was a 6-1 weekend, but I'm not happy. And that's how we live as handicappers, because for the people that buy individual day passes yesterday, the 5% loss, and Saturday, Sunday combined, I had NHL, I had CFL, I had UFC, I had NFL. But I'm not feeling good about my weekend right now because of the 5% prop play. So for everybody out there that joined me and use that 3-day all access, that is 3-day 20. 3-day 20 takes $20 off. Anybody on Friday that used that promo code had a good weekend because they went 6-1 on 7 plays given out for me. If you bought just the 5% play, I do apologize. Really did like that one. We fell short with Jonathan Taylor, but have a play going tonight in the NFL, and it's actually a decent NHL card tonight, Andy, for a Monday. The schedule makers have, they've actually said, you know what, we're going to not just have only games on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We'll give you some games on Monday as well. So I'm looking forward to a really good night, and I actually have a couple plays going tonight.
Yeah, I've been very low volume in hockey, mostly because of the schedule. It's just been ridiculous. It is nice to finally get back to a little bit of normalcy. So I'm happy to join you on some more NHL plays as well. We do have a promo code that is going for the rest of this week. So if you want to use it today, you absolutely can. That is the promo code ALL30, ALL30. Takes $50 off a 30-day pass. So if you want to use it tonight, we are in play for a Monday Night Football play as well as one NBA play. Enjoying the low volume in NBA and NHL. Had a nice cash over the weekend in the NBA. So enjoying that. Got a really solid Monday Night Football play. And only doing one play has just worked really, really well for us. We did again in college football. One play. We're now 8-2 on the season. So could not be happier with that. And I only need one play to turn a profit tonight on Monday Night Football. So go ahead and take advantage of that if you want to get the play. Everything is half price on Monday, or if you want to use the promo code ALL30, ALL30, gets $50 off a 30-day pass. Let's move ahead and talk about next week. Really important to look ahead and see what lines we're hoping to come out. That way, when they do come out, we can pounce, adjust, or stay away. So, Andrew, what props are we looking at for next week that you're interested in?
Andy, I think there's a game that I'm interested in kind of doing the same thing you did as far as bringing a bet to the table and showing it on the show on Friday. And I'll say what I think it might be. And I'm going to copy you. It might be the exact same one. And I think I might take both quarterbacks over 1.5 passing touchdowns in the Jags and Niners game. You got two teams rested, fresh, I think motivated, especially this Niners team. It's not looked good over the past few weeks. I think we see points in that one overall, but That one to me, getting both QBs over 1.5 passing yards could be a really good one. And now, for all of you out there that love to bet the kicker props, we got a pretty good opportunity here with Justin Tucker over 1.5 field goals over the Cleveland Browns. Look, Justin Tucker had himself a day yesterday. When does he not have himself a day, though, when the Ravens are playing well? But now they're playing a more respectable defense. You know, the Browns had a couple hiccups along the way, but their defense is still solid. I don't expect them to just put up a ton of points or at least be able to convert on all third downs and, you know, come up big in the red zone each and every time. So I do think that getting Justin Tucker to get me 2 field goals, give me a good price on that. You can sign me up, as I haven't been too active with the field goal props past 2 weeks, but most likely we'll be back on it. And team totals across all sports, I've been enjoying those lately. And a lot of times with football, I'm looking at team total unders, and Vikings team total under versus the Saints might be one that catches my eye here. What happened over the weekend was awesome. It's a great story. You know, you got a quarterback coming in, doesn't know the name of his teammates. He's practicing snaps with the offensive line on the sideline before the game starts, and Dobbs gets the job done. But now you're playing a Saints defense that holds a lot of people to, not even getting to 20 points, and this is a Vikings team that has a strong offense that people might think, wow, they were able to do that without practicing. Like, imagine what they're going to do with them practicing, and then they come back to earth. So looking at Vikings team total under is certainly one that I'm looking at. And as far as, we're looking at next week with the Lions and Chargers, you talked about Eckler for this week. He's someone that I think will be receiving yards for him for next week, because this Lions team against the running back position give up a lot of receiving yards. They're actually decent against the run, but they give up a lot of receiving yards. And as much as the Lions are a talented team, I still feel like they're weak at a few spots, and that's one thing that I was able to find. So hopefully he has a good night for you tonight, and hopefully I can look towards him for next week.
Great work looking ahead to next week. I am looking at Deontay Johnson. I'm upset that I can't be upset because I hit my prop on Thursday night, but I love Deontay Johnson. And I said it right before he came back, said the Steelers offense is going to look different with him there. He's been really, really good. His receiving total was 4.5. I hope we get 4.5. This guy's had 5, 8, and 7 the last couple weeks. If you want to look at his yards, if we get a yard total hovering in the 50s, I'll take it. He's had 79, 85, and 90. The only thing he does better than rip the officials is catch passes and get wide open for his quarterback. And he's made a big difference. That was a nice win for Pittsburgh. They just win these games out of nowhere. Not really sure how, but I think Deontay Johnson is going to continue to have success. The guy just knows how to get open. I hope it doesn't jump the shark, but Rachaad White, and I fear that the books are going to be all over this one. I talked a lot about how Rachaad White is just better as a pass catcher than he is a runner, and they put his passing total at 20, or his receiving total at 27.5. He flew over. That thing's going to be up in the 30s next week for sure. And he's got a pretty decent matchup against the Titans. Titans much better against the rush than they are against the pass. I will say their rushing defense has kind of gotten a little bit worse, but I would look for Rachaad White over again. And then some people that I work with keep making fun of me because I keep saying how much I like Tyler Algier and how I have him in fantasy and how they're just so annoyed. Like yesterday, he scores the touchdown. There's Bijan Robinson not doing anything. And I keep telling everyone how good Tyler Algier is. Well, he faces the Cardinals next week. I hope I get a rushing total around like 35, because for whatever reason, man, they keep going back to him. He keeps getting rushes. He keeps getting all of the carries inside the 5-yard line. So Tyler Algier, I don't know why they keep going back to him, but I will take it. And then we talked about Austin Eckler. Andrew, you talked about Austin Eckler. He gets a brutal matchup against the Lions next week. So I would definitely look at his under rushing. The Chargers may not even try to run the ball next week against the Lions. You can throw in the Lions, but it's very, very hard to pass against them. So they've been a really, really good one. And then the last one I would bring up, the Seattle team seems to be falling apart. And on paper, they get a good matchup against the Commanders. I talked about taking Kenneth Walker under this week because I wasn't sure his calf injury is healthy. And it does not look like it's healthy. Zach Charbonnet is getting more carries than him. like his number was 53.5. I don't even know if he got over 30 yards this week. He's not getting very many carries. We saw it with Joe Burrow. It takes time for these calf injuries to heal. I don't know why they would give him a lot of work if he's still coming back for it. He clearly is not 100%. So I would look at Kenneth Walker under if we get some better matchups on that one. So those are some that I'm looking for. And I would also add that Devontae Adams just cannot get it going this year, and then he gets the Jets next week, who I'm sure are going to have no trouble trying to blanket him. And with that quarterback, they may not have to blanket him. One-on-one, tough coverage, it may be tough for him to get going. So I would look at Devontae Adams.
Andy, he lost his number one job to Jacoby Myers. And let's not forget, do you remember who the Patriots gave up Jacoby Myers for?
I don't.
Juju. That's who. I mean, what the hell is going on over there in New England? Because I mean, in Las Vegas as well, and in different coasts right now, there's so many different question marks you can have for different teams. At least one, Bill Belichick's not getting fired, but the fact that Devontae Adams has pretty much lost his target share, that's the crazy thing. It's like, it's not Devontae Adams' fault that Jimmy G was overthrowing him by 15 yards. Like, you can make a highlight tape of the plays where he was wide open and they didn't get it to him. And that's the thing. It's like, if you're a handicapper that watches games, or even a sports fan that actually watches the games, that Devontae Adams, at least in my opinion, Andy, I don't think he's really been at fault for his lack of production. I really don't think it's been. If he's on any other team, I think he's having a much better season.
Well, and it does appear Devontae Adams, I don't know, what was his decision? Stay there with Jordan Love? That wouldn't have gone much better. I mean, he just, I don't know what his options were, but honestly, with some of the quarterback play that we've seen, I'm not really sure what his decision was. It kind of felt like he was stuck between a rock and a hard place. But yeah, it's amazing when you have Aaron Rodgers in his prime throwing to you, it's a little different than Jordan Love and Aiden O'Connell. Breaking news on that one. So guys, go ahead and hit the like button and leave us a comment. Tell us your best bet on Monday Night Football. We love going through and reading all your best bets, and we hope everyone had a really good weekend. Don't forget to use the promo code for Andrew McGinnis, and don't forget to use the promo code for myself. We are both at WagerTalk.com. It is Monday, which means all plays are half price, and Andrew and I are looking forward to a nice slate of NHL games as well as continuing the NFL season. So good luck on all your plays, everyone. Don't forget, we will be back on Friday morning to get you ready for all of the Sunday games. Andrew, we got another Germany game. Oh, good Lord, these Germany games are just brutal. But we'll be here to break it down on Friday. So good luck on all your bets this week. We'll see everyone Friday morning on Prop It Up.